But when you look at some of these trials, some of the judges involved, do you find a lot of it does come down to what judge that they get and the political leanings of that judge oftentimes?
I wish that there was a difference between judges who were appointed by Donald Trump, who said that they had loyalty to the Constitution and that they would protect the Constitution, because they have not. Danielle, the Trump-appointed judges are as disgraceful as the Obama-appointed judge, not just Judge Tim Kelly, who's the judge in the Proud Boys case, but also Dabney Friedrich, Trevor McFadden. They have all held defendants, denied them bail, even though they committed no violent crime, have no criminal record, or even if they are accused of, say, attacking police officers, completely eliminating the presumption of innocence. Because look, all these judges live and work in Washington, D.C. It's a very tight-knit group. Their kids go to schools together. They belong to the same clubs. And especially disheartening for the Trump judges is that a lot of them, Tim Kelly, Trevor McFadden, and were moved basically right from the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office to the federal bench. Well, that's the exact same office that's prosecuting all the January 6th defendants. When they call it the swamp, Donald Trump called it the swamp. It's actually far worse than that. It's more of a sewer. And when these people, whether they get appointed by a Republican or not, they are going along with DOJ. They believe that this was an insurrection, and they are going to help the government prove this to the public and punish these people for daring to enter their personal and professional fiefdom of Washington, D.C.
Wow. And, D.C., it is such a swamp, and it's so sad that they're being tried there because it's really not a jury of their peers. It's not fair because a lot of the people there are very different than the people on trial. And when you kind of were diving into some of their stories in the book, did you notice that it was just such a big contrast between the people who are being tried and the kind of people in D.C.?
Well, Danielle, when my book was finished, there had not been a single trial yet. There had been a lot of hearings for pretrial detention. There had been some plea deals. So I'd seen and heard what these judges were already doing, denying bail to nonviolent offenders, berating them in sentencing hearings for plea arrangements. But the first trial didn't start until March of this year. And keep in mind that every single judge has denied every single change of venue motion, even though you're talking about jurors from a city that voted 93% for Joe Biden. Almost everyone who lives in Washington is tied to the federal government. They are, fixated, obsessed by the topic of January 6th. I don't think anyone really in the country is watching the January 6th committee hearings except the people who live there. But these judges insisted that through the jury selection process, they could find a fair jury. Now, until the Oath Keepers trial, where there were some mixed verdicts, I think DOJ, out of maybe, I believe, over a dozen jury trials with numerous counts, was undefeated. I think that there was one acquittal on an obstruction count. Other than that, these jurors have come back in record time, all guilty verdicts on every single count. There were some acquittals in the Oath Keepers case, but 2 convictions of seditious conspiracy. Danielle, no American citizen has ever been convicted of seditious conspiracy, but a D.C. jury found 2 of these men guilty. It's just, it's a legal and judicial circle of hell for these people that they cannot escape.
Wow. And when you were rewinding to when this was all happening and you were thinking about covering this more, what were you thinking at the time and what kind of inspired you to want to begin writing about this topic, even as a reporter and with articles?
That's a good question. So I didn't really see the events of January 6th like a lot of people did. I wasn't horrified. I wasn't